Hey guys, I really apologize for this. It's Thanksgiving night. I know you have better places to be, Doug. You really should be up at White Cloud with your family.
Yeah, no kidding. I'd love to be there, but you're the boss, so.
Show must go on, and Graham, I know Elizabeth is here from Chicago, and I apologize. Please apologize to her.
No, you're a jerk. I already told her you were. That's good.
Well, we watched the Lions today, and now there's Michigan State basketball tonight, and we've got another pro football game, a lot of things we could be doing, and I just wish there was another way to do this show. I just wish the interns. About the interns. What about Faith and Richie and Fino? Well, Fino's not here. We know his grandma died back in New Jersey, but I think I just saw Faith and Richie.
Yeah, they're a lot better looking than Graham, too.
Yeah,
so.
I can't. Yeah, your ratings are going to go up.
Hey, Richie, how are you? Richie Carney from Denver, Colorado. How you been?
Good, Jack.
Hi,
How are you?
Faith. Faith Krogalecki from East Lansing and Lansing Catholic. How would you like to do a little television tonight? Two of you?
Great.
Yeah, I'd love to.
We'll improve the appearance of the show, and Doug
Yeah,
and Graham can head off and do what they want to do.
I'm sure if we polled our viewers, they'd overwhelmingly choose these two.
No question.
Why don't we try this? Why don't we see, and we'll do the show tonight. Lots to talk about. We've got Michigan State football, Big Ten football, lots of basketball. Your Lansing Catholic Cougars playing in the state finals on Saturday. Lots to do. I think that's what we're going to do.
Good luck.
Let's say goodbye
There you go.
to Graham and Doug. We're going to have Press Pass the Next Generation coming up here on My 18. You might as well have a seat. You're going to be here for the next 25 minutes. This is going to be big fun. John Yales has got some great ideas, and we'll be right back here, Press Pass Daily on My 18. Welcome back to Press Pass Daily, the next generation. It's time for our Going Green segment, brought to you by Graf Chevrolet, 100 years in the automobile business. Stop out and see Matt and Mark and Greg, West Grand River and Okemos. They'll take great care of you. Go green, go Graf. There you see the Associated Press Top 25 men's basketball poll. And we see 4 teams from the Big Ten. Michigan State coming in at number 20 this week. Wisconsin all the way up to number 2, Ohio State at 16, and Michigan at 19. I'm again joined by Richie Carney and Faith Krogalecki. Richie, when you look at this schedule, Michigan State had a chance to play Duke. That didn't turn out so well. Now it could be Kansas coming up this weekend, a trip to Notre Dame next week. Can you talk about this pre-conference schedule and what it means to Michigan State?
I don't know. I don't want to say I'm slightly disappointed in the non-conference schedule. I think it could be stronger because, when I look at these last few games, I think that what I see is they're not necessarily preparing themselves, in my eyes, as much as they could be if they were playing better teams. I think that, in the last few games, I've gotten to see Travis Trice polish up his alley-oop pass. I've gotten to see them, get the ball down to Matt Costello a little bit easier than they might against, more formidable opponents. But
Right.
I think when you look long-term, they could be playing teams like, Michigan's playing. When you look at, they've got games against Villanova, Oregon, teams like that. I think that those are the teams that are going to be hanging around come March.
Well, I would think that Duke and Kansas and Notre Dame stack up pretty comparably. It's the other games. Faith, you had a chance to see the Santa Clara game the other night. And when you think about what you saw of Michigan State, what did that game do for the Spartans?
Michigan State did incredibly well during this game, but it was a blowout game for them. So it was a non-conference game. It didn't really have much meaning. So when you look back at their game against Duke, that's a very important game, and that adds strength of schedule for them. But if you look at Michigan State's overall schedule, it doesn't have many of those games that are really going to establish their team.
Right. Well, confidence is a very important factor. We all know that. And Michigan State had some players able to do some things. We saw Marvin Clark Jr. We saw Gavin Schilling come and do some things that maybe will carry over. Now they'll have a better frame of mind.
Gavin Schilling had a career double-double in both points and rebounds. And Marvin Clark Jr., a freshman, very, very good game for him, especially with Brandon Dawson out because he was sick. So it almost made me say, Marvin Clark can step up to the game. And he played on both sides of the ball. He played very, very well, and under the basket as well.
Well, what about what Michigan State can accomplish, Richie? Here in the Orlando Classic, and tonight the game against Rider, going to be beginning in just a few minutes. And then you've got a game against either Georgia Tech or Marquette. And then it could be Kansas. And we saw Kansas in the Champions Classic didn't do so well against Kentucky.
Right. I think if there's one thing that they can really take out of this tournament, it's that they can do whatever they can to prepare themselves. I think that I've been really impressed with Travis Trice thus far. I think that, for a guy that's averaging 18 points a game, 7 rebounds, 48%, I believe, from the three-point line, I think that they're really going to need him when they play teams like Marquette and Kansas. I mean, it's been nice to see some of the freshmen and the younger guys step into their roles, but I think that right now I really think they need to focus on how they're going to run most efficiently, and I think Travis Trice gives them the best opportunity to do that.
And Travis Trice has done a great job, and he'd been banged up his first 3 years and missed so much time, but now Trice and Denzel Valentine, it looks like they could be an explosive team.
Definitely, and I agree with Richie over here. I believe that Travis Trice is definitely one of those impressive players for Michigan State. You saw early on against their very close game against Navy, he stepped up to the plate in the second half, scored a career high of 25 points. And then you can also see Duke, he scored 15 points. Loyola, he scored 9. In his game against Santa Clara just on Monday, he scored 19 points. So he's definitely somebody to look forward to.
I think Travis Trice gives this team some senior leadership. And a lot of people said Denzel Valentine should have been the leader of the team a year ago. So 2 guys, and they know how to win. People forget that 3 years ago, when he came to Michigan State as a freshman, people were talking about Trey Burke and Travis Trice in the same sentence. Denzel Valentine led Sexton to a pair of state championships. So these guys know how to win. It's a matter of all the pieces coming together.
Exactly.
That's where Tom Izzo earns his money. We will be right back. We're going to talk about the University of Michigan. We'll talk about Michigan athletics, especially the football program, coming up next. It's Press Pass Daily on My 18.
Disappointed in the because our seniors and the 12 guys who are graduating, 12 guys who are playing their last games. We always talk about playing for them and coaching for them, and we just didn't execute at times when we had opportunities.
That's Michigan head football coach Brady Hoke. It's our Out of the Blue segment on Press Pass Daily on My 18. I'm here with Faith and Richie. Press Pass, the next generation. Richie, when is the best time and what's the best way to relieve Brady Hoke of his duties?
Jack, I'm starting to, I enjoyed it a little bit, I think, in the beginning, sad to say, but I kind of feel bad for the guy now. I mean, it's just, I feel like even he's beginning to know that this might be, the end of his time here at Michigan, and I don't think you could blame them if they chose to do that, but I just think that however they do it, I hope it's merciful, I guess, because he's certainly taken a beating this year, PR-wise and everything.
The guy's going to get a buyout of more than $5 million. He's probably going to get another coaching job, if not as a head coach, maybe as an assistant or a defensive coordinator. It's hard to feel too much sympathy for someone in that situation.
He'll have his evaluation coming up at the end of the season. I know interim AD Jim Hackett said that he'll evaluate everything at the end of the season. I definitely think he's on his way out. I don't see him taking a head coach position. I see him probably taking an assistant, kind of a backseat role to another team. But there are a lot of other opportunities for coaches to step into that position and make something of that program.
Where will the Michigan program be 3 years from now, and who will the head coach be?
Jack, I've talking with some friends of mine down at LSU, I hear the whispers that Les Miles might make his way over to Michigan, something in the ballpark of maybe 6 years, $60 million, and
wow.
That's what I said. And even if it's not that figure specifically, I think he's definitely an option that we could see next season. I think Greg Schiano would be a good fit personally. I think that when you look at the way his coaching career ended in the NFL, I think he's a guy that's been humbled, and I think that he's probably undergone a decent amount of change in his coaching philosophy, and I think he might be a guy that's, considering he's been volunteering, I think, at his son's high school. That's about as close to football action as he's gotten. I'm thinking he's itching to get back in the driver's seat somewhere.
6 years, $60 million. That's a lot more than Richie makes at Chili's and doing hometown heroes,
more.
right?
Way more.
What about 3 years from now? Where will Michigan be, Faith, and who will be running the program?
Well, I mean, there's a couple different options. Les Miles is definitely up there. I know LSU wasn't very happy with his offensive production in that department. But also, you can also look at 49ers head coach Jim Harbaugh. But I don't think it is likely that he'll go to Michigan just because he does have NFL experience and he is going to be #1 on a lot of those NFL lists.
For years, decades, this time of the year, all we heard about was Michigan, Ohio State, Michigan. Is it possible, with what Michigan State and Ohio State have done recently, the Big Ten championship game last year, the game of the year this year in the Big Ten, that Michigan State may have stolen the Wolverines' rival?
You know, I don't know. I think if you look at the animosity between Michigan and Ohio State, I think that's something that's developed over a very colorful history. I don't know if you can take that away that quickly, but if you're looking at who Ohio State sees as a more formidable opponent or maybe a more challenging game, I think they might look at Michigan State as somebody that they have to worry about more than they might against Michigan, but I don't know if you can match the feelings that go into that game because, like I said, it's such a storied rivalry. But who knows? I mean, that may change if both teams continue on the path that they're on. I think that's something that you could see maybe years down the road. But as of right now, I'm not sure.
Well, you think about Michigan State and Michigan. Michigan really has two rivals, whether they want to admit it or not. Ohio State, it's always been about the game, the end of the season. And you wonder whether it's going to be as rewarding for Ohio State to clobber Michigan like a baby seal Saturday in Columbus.
Well, if you look back on the series between Michigan and Ohio State, Michigan is 1-9 to Ohio State in the past 10 times they've met up. And unfortunately, I don't think that there's that rivalry anymore because they aren't up to par with each other. They're not competitive enough.
Well, competition makes a great rivalry, and that's what Michigan State and Ohio State are building. They're not there yet. It takes a long time to establish 50 years of tradition. Talking about that, we'll get to Michigan State football coming up next. Final regular season game at Penn State on Press Pass, the next generation. Welcome back to Press Pass Daily, the next generation. It's time for our Spartan Sparring segment. We're talking about Michigan State football. There you see the matchup, the 12th of the regular season, Michigan State and Penn State, the land-grant trophy. Saturday afternoon, I'm again joined by Richie Carney, junior from Denver, Colorado, Faith Krogalecki, a junior from East Lansing. When you think about this program, this really began before you got to East Lansing. In 2010, Michigan State won 11 games, did the same thing in 2011, nearly got to the Rose Bowl, and then after a hiccup in 2012, come back and win the Rose Bowl, finish third in the nation, and this year a chance to have another terrific season. Where is this program, Richie?
You know, I don't know. I feel like if you take the temperature of how the fans feel about this season, I think a lot of them are disappointed, and I think that's a blessing and a curse. I think it's silly because I think if they take care of business against Penn State and they hit that 10-win mark again, I think that's a successful season, and I think they would say the same thing. But at the same time, if a 10-2 season is something that fans are disappointed about, I think you've made it. I think you've got bigger things to worry about at that point. So I could see it as a positive and a negative.
Faith, when you think that if this team wins a bowl game, that could be 4 11-win seasons or greater in the span of 5 years. What does that say about the consistency that Mark D'Antonio has built?
Mark D'Antonio has built this legacy and this tradition at Michigan State for the football team, and he's done incredibly well, but like Richie said, the expectations are very high. And fans, you know, we've seen a lot of times where they're getting in trouble because they're not staying all the time at the game or they're not even coming. And so fans, I mean, in seasons past, if Michigan State was 10-2, I mean,
That'd be a parade, right?
that would be, they would be elated for such a successful season.
Yeah. I think the turnout last year at the Rose Bowl, you win the Big Ten championship, everyone is so excited. There's really no place to go but to the college football playoff, and only 4 teams get there. And now it's almost like the Final Four in basketball. You can have a terrific season, but unless you get to that point, a lot of people are unhappy.
Yeah, you know, I mean, with this team, I feel like Faith said, Mark D'Antonio's he's really changed the culture of this team. I mean, if you look at how many times this has happened in the last 5 years where they've had 10, 11 wins, and how many times it's been since they've done that previously, I think that if they can move on, and they don't have to make the 14 playoff, I think, for me to be happy. I think if they can end up playing an Auburn team or even a Georgia team, maybe in the Citrus Bowl, and if they can perform well, hopefully win for their sake, but if they can perform well, I think that makes a statement, especially if they can go up against an SEC team and try to regain some of that confidence maybe that's been lost to the Big Ten as a whole.
There are a lot of bowl projections of where Big Ten teams might wind up. Still possible there could be 10 Big Ten teams in bowls.
Wow.
The Northwestern Illinois winner is going to qualify with 6 wins. Michigan would need to upset Ohio State to get there. But what about the bowl possibilities? We're hearing about the Citrus. Earlier we've heard about the Orange and the Peach and the Fiesta. What do you think, Faith?
I think the Orange Bowl is definitely on my radar, at least. I do believe Michigan State could make it there. The Citrus Bowl would be an incredible accomplishment as well.
When you think about the matchups that some of these bowls already have, the Orange Bowl has a tie-in with the ACC and has to take the highest-ranked team from a number of conferences. But all this is going to be determined, at least the top 6 bowls, by the College Football Playoff Committee, and that's entirely new, Richie.
Yeah, I mean, I think this may be a year where we either come away from it and say, you know what, despite some of the controversy that was going on early on in the season with their rankings, if they can finish off and select, good bowl games and have a good outing, I think that they can have a positive image at the end of the year, or we may walk away with some of these and go, wow, what happened to the BCS? After
so many people going to the Rose Bowl, Faith, do you think they would travel? People would they go to other bowl games?
I think people would travel just because expectations are so high for this team. So wherever Michigan State lands, they're going to want to go see their team.
And they don't have to shovel snow for
No, they won't have to shovel snow. But it's just unfortunate because Michigan State hasn't had that good of a schedule. I mean, the 2 top teams that they played was Oregon. They lost by 19, and they lost then by Ohio State by 12. So those 2 losses by double-digit points, I don't know where it falls for Michigan State.
We'll be back in just a minute. We're going to have our Lansing's Best segment. Normally, you see Richie Carney on Thursdays with Hometown Heroes. We have Hometown Heroes this week. Yesterday out at the Bluegill Grill. It's Michigan State's national championship cross-country team. We'll be right back. Welcome back. It's Press Pass Daily, the next generation, here on My 18. I'm here with Richie Carney and Faith Krogalecki, interns in the Drive with Jack, and it's our Lansing's Best segment. We are looking at the Sexton Big Reds, the unbeaten Big Reds, 1 win away from a state championship, the first Lansing School District team that can say that in high school football in the playoffs era. But we have 3 teams that we're talking about. Ithaca going for consecutive win number 70, and that will be Friday afternoon against Monroe St. Mary. Very tough team that we saw play Lansing Catholic and lose 27-22. Then in Division 4, Lansing Sexton will be playing Grand Rapids South Christian, and that is Friday evening. And then Saturday afternoon, Lansing Catholic versus Grand Rapids West Catholic. That should be a terrific matchup. And Faith, you have a vested interest in that game, right?
Yes, I'm an alumni of Lansing Catholic, so very close to heart. And actually, they went to the state championship when I was actually in school, and I was the water girl / assistant trainer at the time, so it was very exciting.
You nearly brought them through, but that last cup of water didn't get where it
No, I didn't. I obviously didn't do well enough.
Richie, you know a little bit about these teams. You've spent some time with Dan Bogan.
I did.
With Javon Ray. You've had a chance to do a lot of these kinds of things. Predictions, how many of them make it?
I definitely think Lansing Sexton is going to be in there. I think that after spending time, like you said, with Javon Ray and getting to watch Dan Bogan's program, I think they're poised, and I think they'll definitely be ready to take care of business. I think Lansing Sexton's got a good shot. I think they might have a little bit tougher challenge, but in Ithaca, man, how can I vote against them with 70 straight wins? Almost?
Good luck to your mighty Cougars.
Yes, I'm excited. Cougars are doing very, very well. Tony Poljan, especially, there's not often you see a very tall quarterback.
We want to thank John Yales for all of his producing, Richie Carney, Faith Krogalecki, they're interns with the Drive with Jack, doing a great job here on Thanksgiving. Have a great holiday, everyone.